let's talk about the feedback control of the HPO axis. Okay. By feedback control, it means that the ovarian production of steroids, what is being produced in the periphery, what is happening to the follicles, right, that determines the nature of secretion from the hypothalamus. So, this feedback control is very, very important because the pituitary needs to know what is happening, you know, to the ovarian follicles. Are they growing well? Is the dominant follicle there? What is the level of estrogen, right? So, let us talk about this feedback control a little bit more in detail. So, one sort of feedback control we all know of, you know, in our undergraduate years we have studied very well that yes, of course, when in the periphery there is a hormone deficiency. To take for example menopausal women, okay, when in the periphery there is estrogen deficiency, there is a positive feedback signal to the pituitary and the FSH and LH levels, they increase, right. If the hormone levels in the periphery are more, then that should cause a negative feedback to the pituitary, right, or negative feedback to the higher centers. This level of positive and negative feedback, this conceptually we understand. The unique thing about the menstrual cycle is a flip, a switch that happens in the feedback control from negative to positive. Very interesting to note. Now, have a look. Talking about the estrogen levels, okay. Now, when estrogen levels, they rise early on in the follicular phase of the cycles, right. So, increasing estrogen levels, they are going to cause a negative feedback on the anterior pituitary, okay, and they are going to cause a negative feedback on the GnRH neurons as well. But the most important thing to note here is that this negative feedback on the GnRH neurons is brought about via kisspeptin. So, it basically inhibits kisspeptin secretion, and then because of that the GnRH neurons pulsatile secretion decreases. So, this happens via kisspeptin. I will elaborate on this in a little while more, right. However, yes, as the estrogen concentration in the mid-cycle around increases even further and further because of production from the dominant follicle. So, with increasing amounts of estradiol, okay, a flip, a switch is going to take place. Increasing estrogens in low amounts was causing a negative feedback, and now when a threshold of estradiol concentration has been reached and estradiol peak has been achieved, it is going to cause positive feedback to the higher centers, right. And now the positive feedback is going to happen to the level of anterior pituitary, positive feedback is going to happen to the GnRH neurons, probably we do not know why exactly at the GnRH neurons, probably via some other associated neurons like kisspeptin, we are not very sure about that, right. But nonetheless, positive feedback occurs both at the level of the anterior pituitary as well as the hypothalamus to lead to increase in pulsatile GnRH frequency, and now there is going to be increase in FSH production, right. That is a very, very important point to note. Now, let us have a look at the feedback control because of progesterone, okay. So, now we are considering progesterone hormone, okay. Now, when progesterone levels are in small amounts, okay, progesterone in small amounts is going to cause positive stimulation to the anterior pituitary, remember that, okay, which is going to increase FSH, which is going to increase LH also. So, positive influence or positive feedback on the anterior pituitary when progesterone is in small amounts. When progesterone is there in high amounts, right, progesterone in high amounts, like that we see in the luteal phase, isn't it? Progesterone in high amounts like that we see in the luteal phase is going to cause a feedback inhibition now. Very, very important point to note. And the feedback inhibition is to the level of the hypothalamus, going to cause a negative feedback at the level of the hypothalamus that means GnRH neurons, and the pulsatile secretion is going to decrease. So, there is slowing of the pulsatile secretion that is going to bring about decrease in FSH and decrease in LH. Okay. So, increasing amounts, high amounts as seen in the luteal phase, they bring down the FSH and LH levels. Very, very important point to note. Now, this has a clinical relevance. Now, just think about it. There are these progesterone only contraceptives that are prescribed, that are used, right? Okay. And these progesterone only contraceptives, like for example, your, the progesterone implants, and the injectable DMPA, the injectable progesterones, these group I am talking about. How do they act? What is the mechanism of action? They act by inhibiting ovulation. Okay. So, progesterone in high amounts, inhibiting the pulsatile secretion and inhibiting LH surge, right? That is how they are working. But come to think of it, have you ever wondered that if they were to decrease FSH also, what would happen? If giving high amounts of progesterone like this could also lead to FSH suppression, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, right? Because the mechanism of action of feedback suppression is such that it is limited to FSH suppression. The follicular growth isn't suppressed. Otherwise, women who are using implants and these progesterone injections, they will end up having estrogen deficiency, but it doesn't cause estrogen deficiency, just targets the LH surge. That is how this point becomes clinically relevant. So, remember that. Okay, the take home message from this information is that the negative feedback effects, okay, the negative feedback effects of high amounts of progesterone, they are operating at the hypothalamic level in slowing down the pulsatile secretion. Keep that in mind. That is the take home message from this slide. Now, with this background and this much information, let's talk about the regulation of menstrual cycle and let's deeply understand how it is all brought about, right? So, yes, we have the follicular phase and the luteal phase. We have all gone through this diagram, but now we want to dig in a little more deeper. So, let's start from here. Let's start from here, from the very end. Let's start from day 28. Fresh cycle has to begin, right? Now, at that point in time, your progesterone, your estradiol levels, all hormone levels are low. Okay, and for the fresh cycle to begin, you need to have a fresh FSH stimulation, very, very important. So, what is regulating? How is it decided that FSH should come to stimulate the growth of follicles? Why not LH right at this point? What about it? How is it decided? It was decided right here. When in the luteal phase, the progesterone levels were high, they were inhibiting the GnRH neurons, right, and that was resulting in slowing of the pulsatile secretions, right. So, what will happen here now? The pulsatile secretions are going to be very slow by this point in time, okay, and then for the onset of the coming cycle, the pulses will slowly begin to increase also. So, there will be a shift in the pulsatile secretion which is going to favor the release of FSH first, isn't it?